The lights dimmed across New Seoul Station as thousands of beings gathered in the massive central arena. Commander Hyun-woo Park stood at the security checkpoint, watching the crowd through the reinforced glass walls. Aliens of every shape and size filled the viewing platforms. Some had scales that gleamed like metal. Others floated in tanks of strange colored liquid. A few looked almost human, except for their glowing eyes or extra arms. "Commander, the Galactic Council representatives are taking their seats," Lieutenant Ji-won Kim said as she approached. Her uniform was crisp and her hand rested near her sidearm. Even during peaceful events, security remained tight on the station. Hyun-woo nodded without taking his eyes off the crowd. He had seen many species during his years as a Navy SEAL, but this gathering was different. The tension in the air felt thick enough to cut. Representatives from 47 different worlds had come to New Seoul Station for the Galactic Combat Exhibition. What was supposed to be a friendly display of fighting techniques from across the galaxy felt more like a powder keg waiting to explode. "Any trouble from the Outer Rim delegates?" Hyun-woo asked. "The usual complaints about human hospitality," Ji-won replied. "Ambassador Krex from the Helix Confederation said our gravity is too light. The Vorthon delegation thinks our air is too thin. Nothing we haven't heard before." Sergeant Min-ho Lee jogged up to them, slightly out of breath. "Commander, you need to see this. The Nexus Empire delegation just arrived. They brought Vorthak." Hyun-woo felt his stomach tighten. He had heard stories about Vorthak during intelligence briefings. The creature was 12 feet tall and made entirely of living crystal. His species, the Nexari, were known throughout the galaxy as the ultimate predators. They hunted for sport and considered most other life forms as prey animals. "What is a Nexari battle champion doing at a peaceful exhibition?" Hyun-woo asked. "That's what I want to know," Min-ho said. "My sources say he wasn't on the original participant list. Someone added him at the last minute." The three humans walked through the station corridors toward the arena floor. New Seoul Station was humanity's crown jewel in space, built in orbit around Earth. It served as the primary meeting point between human and alien civilizations. The station could house 50,000 beings and had every type of environment needed for different species to survive. As they entered the arena, Hyun-woo saw the fighting ring in the center. It was a circular platform 50 meters across, surrounded by energy barriers that could withstand massive impacts. The crowd noise grew louder as more beings filled the viewing areas. "Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all classifications," the announcer's voice boomed across the arena. "Welcome to the Galactic Combat Exhibition. Today we celebrate the martial traditions of worlds across known space." The first few demonstrations went smoothly. A six-armed warrior from Kepler Prime showed ancient sword techniques that moved too fast for most eyes to follow. A group of insectoid fighters from the Hive worlds performed a ritual combat dance that looked like deadly poetry. Each demonstration received polite applause from the mixed crowd. Then Vorthak entered the ring. The Nexari moved like flowing water despite being made of solid crystal. His body reflected the arena lights, sending rainbow patterns across the walls. Each of his forearms ended in razor-sharp claws that could cut through steel. His head was angular and alien, with eyes that glowed like burning coals. The crowd fell silent. Even other predator species seemed nervous in Vorthak's presence. "Now we have Vorthak of the Nexus Empire," the announcer said, his voice slightly strained. "He will demonstrate the traditional Nexari hunting techniques." Vorthak stood in the center of the ring and let out a sound that was part roar and part glass breaking. The energy barriers flickered from the sonic assault. Several smaller species in the crowd backed away from the viewing windows. "These are not hunting techniques," a voice called out from the Helix Confederation section. "Where is his prey?" Other voices joined in. "Nexari don't hunt alone." "Where are the victims?" "This is not a proper demonstration." Vorthak turned toward the crowd, his crystal head moving in sharp predatory motions. When he spoke, his voice sounded like grinding stone. "Nexari hunt the most dangerous game. We seek worthy opponents, but I see none here." The insult hung in the air like poison gas. Representatives from warrior species shifted in their seats. A few hands moved toward weapons before security reminded everyone that this was neutral ground. "Perhaps," Vorthak continued, "the soft mammals who built this station would like to volunteer. I have heard much about human warriors, but I see only weak creatures hiding behind walls and rules." Hyun-woo felt something hot and angry rise in his chest. Around him, other humans were responding the same way. Ji-won's face had gone red. Minho was clenching his fists so hard his knuckles were white. The crowd began to murmur. Some aliens were laughing. Others looked uncomfortable. The tension that had been building all day finally found its focus. "What do you say, humans?" Vorthak asked, spreading his forearms wide. "Will you show the galaxy what your species can do? Or will you prove that mammals are only good for being hunted?" The challenge echoed through the arena. Hyunwoo looked at his team. He saw the same anger and determination in their eyes that he felt burning in his own chest. This was more than just an insult. This was a test of everything humanity represented in the galaxy. "Commander," Ji-won whispered, "don't even think about it. That thing is designed to kill. This isn't a fair fight. Since when have SEALs worried about fair fights?" Hyunwoo replied. He stepped forward toward the arena entrance. "Sir, please," Minho said. "We can file a diplomatic complaint." "The council will handle this." Hyunwoo paused at the arena gate. He looked back at his team, then up at the thousands of beings watching from above. Somewhere in that crowd were humans who had traveled from across known space to see their species represented at this exhibition. He thought about every human colony, every ship, every outpost that would hear about what happened here today. The gate opened. Commander Hyunwoo Park, veteran of the Titan Wars and decorated Navy SEAL, walked into the ring to face the galaxy's most feared predator. The crowd held its breath as two very different warriors prepared to show the universe what their species could do. The arena fell completely silent as Hyunwoo stepped onto the fighting platform. His boots made soft sounds against the metal floor, each step echoing in the massive space. Above him, thousands of alien eyes watched every movement. Some creatures leaned forward in excitement. Others seemed to pull back as if they could sense what was coming. Vorthak stood at the opposite end of the ring, his crystal body catching and throwing back the arena lights. The Nixari warrior was even more terrifying up close. His forearms moved independently, each one testing the air like a predator sampling scents. His glowing eyes fixed on Hyunwoo with the focus of a hunter who had found perfect prey. "Commander, please reconsider." Jawan's voice came through his earpiece. She was speaking from the security station where she and Minho were monitoring everything. "Our scans show his bone density is 3 times stronger than Diamond. His reaction time is beyond anything we've measured." Hyunwoo touched his earpiece once to acknowledge her, but he didn't respond. His eyes never left Vorthak. The SEAL had faced impossible odds before. During the Battle of Titan's Moon, he had held a position against 50 enemy fighters for 6 hours until reinforcements arrived. On the ice planet Helios 7, he had survived alone for 3 weeks behind enemy lines. But this felt different. This wasn't war. This was personal. "Tell me, human," Vorthak said, his voice like rocks grinding together. "Do you know how Nixari hunt?" Hyunwoo didn't answer. He was studying his opponent, looking for weaknesses. The crystal body seemed perfect, but everything had flaws. Everything could be broken if you knew where to hit. "We don't simply kill our prey," Vorthak continued, moving slowly around the ring's edge. "We break them piece by piece. We show them how helpless they are. We make them understand their place in the order of things." The crowd was getting restless. Some aliens were making betting sounds in their native languages. Others were recording everything, sending live feeds back to their homeworlds. This fight would be watched by billions of beings across the galaxy. "Your species thinks it belongs among the great powers," Vorthak said. "You build stations like this one. You demand seats on councils. You act like equals. But you are just clever animals. Today everyone will see the truth," Hyunwoo finally spoke. "Are you going to keep talking or are we going to fight?" Vorthak's crystal face somehow managed to look amused. "Very well. Let me show the galaxy what happens to animals that forget their place." The fight began without warning. One moment, Vorthak was standing still. The next, he was moving faster than thought. His forearms became a blur of motion as he crossed the ring in 2 giant steps. Hyunwoo barely had time to dodge the first attack. Crystal claws whistled through the air where his head had been a split second before. Hyunwoo rolled to the side and came up in a fighting stance. His years of training kicked in automatically. Duck, weave, look for openings, strike when possible. But Vorthak was nothing like any opponent he had ever faced. The Nixari moved with impossible speed and strength. Each punch could have shattered a concrete wall. Each kick could have dented steel plating. And there were 4 arms to track instead of 2. Hyunwoo managed to land a few hits, but his fists felt like they were striking solid rock. The impacts sent pain shooting up his arms. Vorthak didn't even seem to notice the attacks. "Is this the best humanity can offer?" Vorthak asked while throwing a combination that nearly took Hyunwoo's head off. Your strongest warrior fights like a child. The crowd was getting louder. Some aliens were cheering for Vorthak. Others seemed excited by the violence. A few looked uncomfortable, but they kept watching. Hyunwoo tried to use his speed and training to stay ahead of the attacks. He ducked under a high swing and tried to sweep Vorthak's legs. The crystal warrior didn't budge. Instead, he grabbed Hyunwoo by the shoulder and lifted him into the air. Look at him, Vorthak called to the crowd. See how small he is. See how weak. He threw Hyunwoo across the ring. The human hit the energy barrier and bounced back onto the platform. Pain shot through his ribs, but he forced himself to get up. In the crowd, he could see other humans watching with horror and anger on their faces. Commander, you need to get out of there. Minho's voice came through the earpiece. This isn't worth it, but Hyunwoo knew he couldn't quit. This was bigger than just one fight. Every human in the galaxy was watching. Every alien species would remember what happened here. If he ran now, humanity would be seen as cowards forever. He charged at Vorthak again, trying to use his smaller size to get inside the creature's reach. For a moment, it seemed to work. He landed several hits to what might have been weak points in the crystal armor. But Vorthak adapted quickly. The end came faster than anyone expected. Vorthak caught Hyunwoo with a backhanded strike from his lower left arm. The human tried to block, but the force was too much. The crystal fist smashed through his guard and connected with the side of his head. The sound echoed through the entire arena. It was a wet, terrible crack that made several beings in the crowd flinch. Hyunwoo's body went limp and he collapsed to the platform. Blood began pooling around his head. And that, Vorthak announced to the silent crowd, is why mammals should know their place. Dr. Yoonji Han was running toward the ring before security could stop her. Jiwon and Minho were right behind her, along with a full medical team. They rushed onto the platform while Vorthak stepped back, his crystal body now stained with human blood. Get him to medical now, Dr. Han shouted as they loaded Hyunwoo onto a stretcher. Through her scanner, she could see the damage. His skull was fractured in 3 places. Bone fragments were pressing against his brain. He was dying. As they carried him away, the crowd began to disperse. Some aliens seemed satisfied by what they had seen. Others looked troubled. But all of them would remember this day. They would remember how easily the Nexari warrior had broken humanity's champion. They would remember the sound of his skull cracking. They would remember that humans, for all their technology and ambition, were still just fragile animals. What they couldn't know was that this moment would change everything. The assault on Commander Hyunwoo Park would be the spark that transformed humanity into something the galaxy had never seen before. But that transformation was still to come. For now there was only pain, blood, and the terrible silence of defeat. Dr. Yoonji Han worked over Commander Park's broken body with desperate efficiency. The medical bay's lights cast harsh shadows across her face as she struggled to save his life. Brain surgery in zero gravity was always challenging, but with skull fragments scattered like puzzle pieces, it seemed impossible. His intracranial pressure is through the roof, her assistant reported. We're losing him. Not today, Dr. Han muttered, her hands steady despite the fear in her voice. I've patched up too many good soldiers to lose one now. Outside the medical bay, Lieutenant Jiwon Kim paced the corridor like a caged animal. Her hands shook with rage she couldn't express. Sergeant Minho Lee sat against the wall staring at his tablet as reports flooded in from across human space. The footage is everywhere, Minho said quietly. Every news network, every social platform, every military channel. They're calling it the greatest humiliation in human history. Jiwon stopped pacing. What are the reactions from other species? Mixed, some are celebrating. The Helix Confederation released a statement saying this proves humans aren't ready for advanced diplomatic status. 3 trading partners have suspended their contracts with Earth colonies. As they spoke, something strange was happening throughout human space. On Mars colony, Captain Do-hyun Choi was reviewing patrol reports when he felt it first. A burning sensation started in his chest and spread through his entire body. His vision sharpened until he could see details on his computer screen that had been invisible moments before. Sir, are you feeling all right? His first officer asked. Do-hyun looked up and realized he could hear the officer's heartbeat. He could smell the fear sweat of the communications operator across the room. Every sound seemed louder and clearer than before. I feel, Do-hyun said slowly, better than I have in years. Similar reports were coming in from every human outpost, colony, and ship. On the mining station orbiting Jupiter, workers found they could lift twice their normal loads. Security guards on the lunar bases discovered their reaction times had improved dramatically. Children in Earth schools were solving math problems they shouldn't have understood for years. Dr. Taijin Yun was working late at the Lunar Research Facility when his assistant burst into his office. "Doctor, you need to see the medical readings coming in from across the system. Every human settlement is reporting the same thing." Dr. Yun looked at the data streaming across his screens. Heart rates were elevated but stable. Brain activity showed patterns he had never seen before. Muscle density readings were off the charts. "This is impossible," he whispered. "You can't have evolutionary changes happen this fast." But the evidence was right in front of him. Somehow, some way, the entire human species was changing. Back on New Sol Station, the transformation was most noticeable among the humans who had witnessed the fight. Jiwan found she could remember every detail of Vorthak's attack pattern. Her mind was processing the information and creating tactical solutions she had never considered before. "Minho," she said suddenly, "pull up the security footage from the arena. I want to see something." As they watched the recording, Jiwan noticed details that had escaped her during the actual fight. The way Vorthak had moved, the timing of his attacks, the small hesitation before his final strike. He was holding back, she realized. Look at this moment here. He could have ended it in the first 30 seconds, but he drew it out. This wasn't about winning. This was about making a statement. What kind of statement? That humans are weak. That we don't belong with the other advanced species. Someone wanted this humiliation to be as public as possible. While they were discovering the conspiracy, Dr. Han was witnessing something miraculous in the medical bay. Commander Park's brain activity was increasing rapidly. His body was healing faster than should have been possible. The bone fragments in his skull were somehow repositioning themselves. "Doctor, his cellular regeneration rate just tripled," her assistant reported in amazement. "I've never seen anything like this." "Keep monitoring him," Dr. Han ordered. "And get me samples of his blood. I want to know what's causing this." Across human space, the changes were accelerating. Captain Do-hyun's crew reported that they could feel each other's emotions during high-stress situations. Mining teams discovered they could coordinate complex operations without verbal communication. Fighter pilots found their reflexes had improved to superhuman levels. The alien species watching humanity began to notice something was different. Trade negotiations that had favored alien interest for decades suddenly shifted, as human diplomats seemed to anticipate every argument. Military exercises showed human forces responding to threats with impossible coordination. On the Nexus Empire flagship, Vorthak received reports from agents throughout human space. What he heard made his crystal body vibrate with concern. "The mammals are changing," his intelligence officer reported. "Our sources say they're becoming stronger, faster, smarter. Some of our spies have lost contact entirely." "Impossible," Vorthak replied. "Evolution doesn't work that way. Species take millions of years to adapt." But the evidence was mounting. Human colonies that had been vulnerable to raider attacks were suddenly fighting back with devastating effectiveness. Trading posts that had accepted unfavorable deals were renegotiating with sharp new skills. Dr. Taijin made the first breakthrough 3 days after the assault. Working around the clock, he discovered that dormant sections of human DNA had suddenly activated. Genetic sequences that had been silent for thousands of years were now expressing themselves. "It's like someone flipped a switch," he explained to the emergency council meeting via hologram. "These genes were always there, but something triggered them all at once." "What kind of trigger?" General Hayes asked from Earth Command. "I think it was trauma. Specifically, the trauma of seeing one of our own brutally attacked while representing our entire species. The assault on Commander Park wasn't just physical violence. It was an existential threat to humanity's survival in the galactic community." As Dr. Taijin spoke, Commander Park was waking up in the medical bay. His eyes opened slowly, but when they focused, they seemed different, sharper, more aware. "How do you feel?" Dr. Han asked. Hyun-woo sat up carefully, testing his movements. His skull felt strange but solid. The pain was gone. More than that, he felt stronger than he had ever felt in his life. "I feel like I could fight a dozen Vorthaks," he said quietly. Dr. Han ran her scanner over him again. The readings showed bone density that was nearly unbreakable. His brain activity indicated intelligence levels far beyond human normal. His reflexes tested faster than the scanner could measure. Commander, she said with wonder in her voice, I think you might actually be able to. The transformation was complete, but humanity didn't understand what had happened yet. They only knew that something fundamental had changed. The species that had been humiliated in the arena was no longer the same species. Vorthak's assault had been designed to break humanity's spirit and prove their weakness to the galaxy. Instead, it had awakened something that had been sleeping in human DNA for millennia. The galaxy was about to learn that sometimes the greatest mistake a predator can make is wounding prey that refuses to stay down. The age of enhanced humanity was about to begin. 2 weeks after the assault, Commander Hyunwoo Park stood in his quarters looking at his reflection in the mirror. The man staring back at him looked the same but felt completely different. His skull had healed with bone density readings that amazed even Dr. Han. His mind processed information faster than ever before. Most importantly, he could sense things about people that he had never noticed before. Like right now, he could tell that Sergeant Minho Lee was nervous about something as he approached the door. Come in. Minho, Hyunwoo called before the sergeant could knock. Minho entered, holding a secure tablet loaded with classified information. His enhanced instincts had been working overtime, and what he had discovered was disturbing. Commander, I've been digging into how Vorthak ended up at the exhibition. The official records show he was added to the participant list only 3 hours before the event started. Who authorized the addition? That's where it gets interesting. The request came through diplomatic channels from the Galactic Council, but when I traced it back, the original source was harder to find. Hyunwoo gestured for Minho to continue. His enhanced intuition was already telling him this was bigger than a simple diplomatic mistake. I had to call in favors from intelligence contacts on 12 different worlds. The paper trail leads back to a shadow organization within the Nexus Empire. They've been working for months to orchestrate this exact scenario. The commander felt a cold anger building in his chest. Show me. Minho activated the holographic display built into the secure tablet. Images and documents appeared in the air between them. Financial records, communication logs, and surveillance photos painted a picture of careful planning. They call themselves the Dominion Protocol. Their goal is to prevent humanity from gaining equal status in the galactic community. The assault on you was just the opening move. What's the next move? According to intercepted communications, they plan to use footage of the fight to convince other species that humans are too weak and emotional to be trusted with advanced technology or important trade. Roots Lieutenant Jiwon Kim entered the room as they were, reviewing the evidence. Her enhanced awareness had been developing faster than most humans, and she had been conducting her own investigation from a different angle. Commander, I've been analyzing the behavior patterns of alien delegations since the exhibition. 7 species have reduced their embassy staff on human worlds. 12 trading partners have renegotiated contracts to heavily favor their side. The Helix Confederation is pushing for a formal review of humanity's diplomatic status. They're using our apparent weakness against us, Hyunwoo realized. But they don't know about the changes happening to our people. That's not all, Jiwon continued. I intercepted a communication between the Nexus Empire and the Vorthan Collective. They're planning something they call Operation Harvest. Minho pulled up additional files. I've heard whispers about Operation Harvest from deep cover assets. The plan is to systematically attack human colonies that are deemed too advanced or strategically important. They want to drive us back to our home system and keep us there. Dr. Taejin Yoon's voice came through the secure communication system. He was calling from Luna Research Facility with updates on his studies of the human transformation. Commander, I have results from the genetic analysis. The changes aren't random. Every human who has undergone the enhancement shows activation of the same specific gene sequences. It's like someone designed these dormant capabilities and hid them in our DNA millions of years ago. Designed by who? Hyunwoo asked. That's the mystery. The genetic markers don't match any known species, but whoever did this understood that humans might need these abilities someday. The trigger seems to be a combination of extreme stress and a threat to the species' survival. So Vorthak's assault was exactly the kind of event needed to activate these abilities? Exactly. But here's the interesting part. The enhancements aren't just physical and mental. I'm seeing evidence of something I can only describe as network connectivity. Enhanced humans in proximity to each other show synchronized brain activity. You're developing the ability to work as a collective intelligence when needed. As if to prove Dr. Yoon's point, Hyunwoo, Jiwon, and Minho all looked at each other at the same moment. They had all just realized the same thing without speaking. The Dominion Protocol made a mistake, Jiwon said. They turned us into exactly what they were afraid we might become, Minho added. And they have no idea what they've unleashed. Hyunwoo finished. Dr. Yoon continued his report. I've been in contact with research facilities across human space. The transformation is complete in about 90% of the population. The remaining 10% are showing signs of beginning the process. Within a month, every human alive will have these enhanced capabilities. What about humans who weren't born on Earth? Jiwon asked. Colony populations, spaceborne crews? The effect seems to be species-wide, not location-dependent. A human mining crew near the galactic rim reported the same enhancements as people on Luna. Whatever triggers this was built into our fundamental genetic structure. Minho was reviewing more intercepted communications. Commander, I'm seeing increased military activity from the Nexus Empire and their allies. They're positioning fleets near human trade routes. I think they're preparing to begin Operation Harvest within the next few weeks. Do they know about our enhancements? Their intelligence reports suggest they've noticed some changes, but they don't understand the scope. Most alien observers think humans are just angry about the exhibition fight. They expect us to make some angry speeches and then accept our diminished status. Hyunwoo moved to the window overlooking the station's central hub. Below him, human crews were working alongside alien visitors. But now he could see things differently. The aliens moved with the confidence of species that saw themselves as superior. The humans moved with new purpose and awareness. Have we told the other species about our transformation? He asked. General Hayes from Earth Command ordered a complete information blackout, Jiwon replied. Only essential personnel know the full extent of what's happening. As far as the aliens know, we're still the same humans they saw in the arena. Good. Let them think we're weak and defeated. When they make their move, they'll discover just how wrong they are. Dr. Han's voice joined the communication from the medical bay. Commander, I've been analyzing your recovery and comparing it to the enhancements showing up in the general population. Your case seems to be more advanced than most. I think being the focal point of the transformation event gave you additional capabilities. What kind of additional capabilities? Enhanced spatial awareness, improved tactical processing, and something I can only describe as leadership resonance. Other enhanced humans seem to naturally coordinate with you when you're present. The implications were staggering. Not only had humanity been transformed, but they had been given natural leaders to guide the transformation. There's something else, Dr. Han continued. The enhanced humans aren't just stronger and smarter. They're developing what I can only call species loyalty. The attack on you didn't just enhance individuals. It enhanced humanity's ability to work as a unified species. Minho looked up from his intelligence reports. Commander, we have a problem. My sources indicate that Vorthak is planning to request another exhibition match. He wants to demonstrate Nexari superiority again, but this time with multiple human opponents. When? 6 weeks from now? The Galactic Council is considering it as a way to settle tensions. They think giving Vorthak another victory will satisfy the Nexus Empire and prevent larger conflicts. Hyunwoo smiled, and his teammates could feel his confidence through their enhanced connection. Let them plan their exhibition. Let them think they know what they're dealing with. Sir, we're going to give the galaxy a demonstration, but not the one they're expecting. The enhanced humans in the room shared a moment of perfect understanding. The Dominion Protocol had wanted to humiliate humanity and prove their weakness. Instead, they had created their own worst nightmare, a unified, enhanced human species that was no longer willing to accept second-class status in the galaxy. The next phase of humanity's transformation was about to begin, and this time, the aliens would be the ones learning about their place in the cosmic order. 6 months after the assault that changed everything, the first real test of humanity's transformation came not in an arena, but in the cold vacuum of space near Saturn's rings. The mining colony on Titan had been producing rare metals that were essential for galactic trade. It was also completely defenseless, or so the Nexus Empire believed. Major Sun Ho Kang stood on the observation deck of the Titan defense station, watching enemy ships approach through the ice and debris of Saturn's ring system. His enhanced vision could pick out details that would have been invisible to unenhanced humans. 12 Nexus Empire raiders, armed with plasma cannons and kinetic missiles, were moving in perfect attack formation. Major, long-range sensors confirm hostile intent. reported his communications officer. They're powering weapons and targeting our mining platforms. 6 months ago, this would have been a massacre. Titan Colony had only basic defensive systems and a small security force. The raiders carried enough firepower to level the entire settlement, but 6 months ago Major Kang and his people had been ordinary humans. "All units, this is Sunho," the major said into his communicator. His enhanced awareness was already connecting him to every defender in the system. Execute Phoenix Protocol. Throughout the Titan system, enhanced humans moved with inhuman coordination. Fighter pilots launched from hidden positions inside asteroid bases. Defense platforms that had been disguised as mining equipment suddenly revealed advanced weapon systems. Most importantly, every human in the system was now connected through their shared enhancement, creating a collective intelligence that could process battlefield information instantly. The Nexus Empire commander, a Nexari called Torvik, was confident in his overwhelming advantage. His ships outnumbered the human defenders 3-1. His weapons were military-grade while the humans appeared to have only civilian equipment. "Begin the harvest," Torvik ordered. "Destroy their mining capability, but leave some survivors to send a message back to Earth." The attack began exactly as planned. For about 30 seconds, the first sign that something was wrong came when the human fighters appeared. They didn't fly like any pilots Torvik had encountered. Instead of following predictable attack patterns, they moved as a single coordinated entity. When one pilot began an attack run, 3 others were already in position to support. When enemy fire targeted one fighter, 2 others were ready with covering fire. "Sir, the human vessels are displaying impossible coordination," his tactical officer reported. "They're anticipating our moves before we make them." Impossible. Humans don't have hive mind technology. But as Torvik watched, his superior force was being systematically dismantled by fighters that seemed to read his mind. Every tactical decision he made was countered before he could implement it. Every formation he ordered was broken by humans who seemed to know exactly where to strike. Major Kang was coordinating the defense from his command center, but he wasn't giving traditional orders. Instead, his enhanced mind was connected to every pilot, every gunner, every defensive system in the colony. Information flowed between them faster than radio signals. Tactical solutions were developed collectively and implemented instantly. "Phoenix leader to all units," one of the fighter pilots reported. "Enemy formation is breaking. They're trying to retreat to jump distance." "Negative," Major Kang replied. "No survivors. We can't let them report what they've seen here." This was the new reality of enhanced humanity. They didn't just fight harder or smarter than before. They fought as a single organism with dozens of bodies and minds all focused on the same goal. The battle lasted 18 minutes. When it was over, 12 Nexus Empire raiders had been completely destroyed. The human defenders had not lost a single vessel or suffered any casualties. More importantly, they had captured enough wreckage and data to understand exactly how much the enemy knew about human capabilities. "Major, analysis of their communication log shows they were expecting minimal resistance," his intelligence officer reported. "Their mission parameters indicated this was supposed to be a simple intimidation raid." "Were they recording the battle?" "All their transmissions were cut off when we destroyed their communication array. As far as the Nexus Empire knows, this fleet simply disappeared near Saturn." Major Kang allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. The aliens who had planned Operation Harvest were about to discover that their intelligence was 6 months out of date. Meanwhile, on New Sol Station, Commander Hyunwoo was receiving reports from across human space. The Titan battle was just one of several encounters where enhanced humans had surprised their attackers. "Commander, we have confirmation of successful defensive actions at 5 different locations," Lieutenant Ji-won reported. "In every case, the attackers were completely destroyed with no human losses." "What's the reaction from the alien governments?" "Confused silence mostly. 3 separate species have lost military units in what they thought were going to be easy targets. They're trying to figure out what happened." Sergeant Minho entered with the latest intelligence reports. "Sir, our deep cover assets report emergency meetings throughout the Nexus Empire leadership. They're starting to suspect that something has changed about human capabilities." "How much do they know?" "Not nearly enough. Their agents are reporting that humans seem more confident and coordinated than before, but they don't understand the scope of the transformation. Most alien observers think we've just developed better teamwork." Dr. Taejin Yoon's face appeared on the communication screen from Luna Research Facility. Commander, I have updates on the enhancement process. The collective intelligence capabilities are developing faster than we predicted. Enhanced humans can now coordinate complex operations across light-year distances. How is that possible? We're still studying it, but it appears the enhancement includes a form of quantum consciousness linking. Enhanced humans don't just share tactical information, they share intuition, pattern recognition, and even emotional states when needed. Are there any limits? Distance doesn't seem to matter. A human fighter pilot near Alpha Centauri can coordinate with Earth-based strategists in real time. The connection seems to transcend normal physics. Dr. Han joined the conversation from her medical bay. I've been studying the psychological effects of the enhancement. Enhanced humans aren't losing their individuality, but they're developing an instinctive loyalty to the species as a whole. Personal conflicts between enhanced humans are becoming extremely rare. What about unenhanced humans? The process is nearly complete galaxy-wide. Less than 1% of the human population hasn't undergone the transformation, and most of those cases are in the final stages. Commander Hyun-woo processed all the information through his enhanced awareness. The picture that emerged was clear. Humanity had become something completely new in the galaxy. They weren't just stronger or smarter than before. They were evolving into a collective species that could coordinate on a galactic scale. Sir, Juwan said, we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth Command. General Hayes wants to speak with you directly. The general's face appeared on the main screen. Commander Park, I've been reviewing the battle reports from across human space. Our defensive capabilities have exceeded every projection. The question now is what we do with this advantage. What are the options? We can continue to let the aliens think we're still weak while we strengthen our positions. Or we can make a demonstration that shows them exactly how much has changed. What kind of demonstration? Vorthak has been demanding another exhibition match. He wants to prove that his victory wasn't just luck. The Galactic Council is pressuring us to agree, thinking it will calm tensions. Hyun-woo felt a surge of anticipation through his enhancement. Every enhanced human in the conversation shared the same feeling. They were ready to show the galaxy what humanity had become. When and where? He asked. 2 weeks from now. New Sol Station again, but this time Vorthak won't be fighting alone. He's bringing 5 other Nexari warriors. They want to demonstrate total Nexus Empire superiority. And they'll get a demonstration, Hyun-woo replied. Just not the one they're expecting. The enhanced humans in the room shared a moment of perfect understanding. The galaxy was about to learn that sometimes when you break something, it comes back stronger than before. Much stronger. 1 year after the assault that changed everything, Commander Hyun-woo Park stood in the same arena where Vorthak had shattered his skull. But this time everything was different. The viewing platforms were packed with representatives from every major species in the galaxy. News feeds were broadcasting to billions of beings across known space. And humanity was no longer the weak prey species that had been humiliated here 12 months ago. Commander, all human vessels are in position, Captain Do-hyun Choi reported from the bridge of his expanded fleet. 24 enhanced human warships had taken positions at the edge of the system, not as a threat, but as a reminder of how much had changed. Thank you, Captain. Maintain standard patrol patterns, but be ready to demonstrate our capabilities if necessary. In the arena below, 6 Nexari warriors stood waiting. Vorthak was there, along with 5 others who represented the finest fighters the Nexus Empire could produce. Each one was 12 feet tall, made of living crystal, and designed by evolution to be the perfect predator. Across from them, 6 enhanced humans stood in simple combat uniforms. Commander Hyun-woo led the group, flanked by Lieutenant Ji-won Kim, Sergeant Min-ho Lee, Major Son-ho Kang, Dr. Yoon Ji-han, and Captain Do-hyun's weapons officer, Commander Yuna Shin, 2 alien observers. They looked impossibly small and fragile compared to their crystal opponents. Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all classifications, the announcer's voice carried across the arena. Today we witness a demonstration that will determine humanity's place in the galactic community. In the VIP section, ambassadors and military leaders from dozens of species watched with varying degrees of interest. Some were here to see humanity's final humiliation. Others hoped to witness the end of human pretensions to equality. None of them understood what they were actually about to see. Vorthak stepped forward, his crystal body reflecting the arena lights in brilliant patterns. 1 year ago, I showed this galaxy the truth about human weakness. Today I will complete that lesson. Commander Hyunwoo walked to the center of the ring. His skull bore no visible scars from their previous encounter. But inside his head, bone density readings showed material stronger than the hull plating of most starships. 1 year ago, Hyunwoo replied, you thought you were breaking a man. What you actually did was awaken a species. The fight began without ceremony or warning. All 6 Nexari warriors moved at once, their crystal forms blurring with inhuman speed. To the alien observers, it looked like the humans would be overwhelmed in seconds, just as Hyunwoo had been the year before. But the enhanced humans moved as one mind in 6 bodies. As Vorthak's massive fist whistled toward Hyunwoo's head, the commander wasn't there anymore. He had moved with precise timing, while Jiwon appeared behind Vorthak with impossible speed. Her enhanced strength drove her fist into what would have been a kidney on a human opponent. The crystal warrior staggered, surprised that a human could move fast enough to hurt him. Around the ring, his 5 companions were discovering the same shocking truth. These weren't the same fragile mammals they remembered. Major Sunho engaged 2 Nexari simultaneously, his enhanced reflexes allowing him to dodge attacks that should have been impossible to see coming. Dr. Han, who had spent the year training her enhanced body while researching the transformation, moved with surgical precision as she targeted specific weak points in crystal anatomy. Impossible, Vorthak snarled as Hyunwoo landed a combination that actually cracked his crystal armor. Humans don't evolve this fast. We didn't evolve, Hyunwoo replied while ducking under a forearmed attack. We awakened. The crowd was going silent as they watched 6 humans systematically dismantling the galaxy's most feared predators. This wasn't the desperate struggle of the previous year. This was a demonstration of perfect coordination and overwhelming skill. Commander Yuna trapped 1 Nexari in a joint lock that should have been impossible given the size difference. The crystal warrior found his own strength turned against him, as enhanced human leverage made him helpless. Sergeant Minho moved like liquid mercury, never in the same place twice, landing hits with scientific precision. The humans are fighting as a collective intelligence, observed Ambassador Krex from the Helix Confederation. His multiple eyes were fixed on the action below. Look at their coordination. They're not 6 individuals. They're 6 parts of the same tactical mind. Other alien observers were reaching the same conclusion. The humans weren't just stronger and faster than before. They were something entirely new in the galaxy's experience. Vorthak realized he was losing and decided to end the demonstration with maximum violence. He broke away from Hyunwoo and charged at Dr. Han, intending to crush the smallest member of the human team. It was a mistake. All 6 enhanced humans responded instantly to the threat. Vorthak found himself surrounded, trapped, and completely outmaneuvered. When Hyunwoo's fist connected with the exact spot where Vorthak had struck him a year before, the sound echoed through the entire arena, but this time, it was crystal that cracked. Vorthak collapsed to the arena floor, his crystal body fractured and leaking the glowing fluid that served as Nexari blood. Around him, his 5 companions were also down, defeated by humans who had barely seemed to break a sweat. The arena fell completely silent. Then slowly the sound of clapping began. It came from the human sections of the crowd, but gradually, aliens began joining in. Not because they were happy about what they had witnessed, but because they recognized they had just seen something that would change the galaxy forever. And that, Commander Hyunwoo announced to the watching galaxy, is what happens when you mistake awakening for weakness. As medical teams rushed to treat the fallen Nexari, alien ambassadors were already activating emergency communication channels to their home governments. The implications were staggering. If humans could defeat Nexari warriors this easily, what else had changed about them? Over the following months, the answer became clear. Every aspect of human space had been transformed. Trade negotiations that had once favored alien interests suddenly became partnerships of equals. Military conflicts that aliens had initiated found them facing coordination and tactics they couldn't counter. Human colonies that had accepted second-class status began demanding full recognition and rights. The Galactic Council, which had spent decades treating humans as junior partners, found itself dealing with a species that was no longer willing to accept anything less than full equality. Trade routes were renegotiated. Defense treaties were rewritten. Entire sectors of space that had been closed to human expansion suddenly opened up as species competed for human friendship rather than dominance. 6 months after the second exhibition match, Commander Hyun-woo stood in his new office aboard the flagship of the Human Space Defense Force. Through the viewport, he could see the combined fleets of 12 different species waiting to escort human vessels through previously restricted space lanes. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission from the Outer Rim," Captain Do-yeon reported. "Long-range sensors have detected a massive Nexus Empire fleet assembling near the galactic edge." "How massive?" 3,000 vessels. "It looks like they're preparing for a full-scale war against enhanced humanity." Hyun-woo smiled, and throughout human space, millions of enhanced humans shared his confidence through their quantum consciousness link. The Nexus Empire still didn't understand what they were dealing with. "Open a channel to their fleet, Commander," Hyun-woo ordered. When the transmission connected, Vorthak's image appeared on the screen. The Crystal Warrior's body still showed scars from their arena encounter, and his eyes burned with rage and fear in equal measure. "Commander Park," Vorthak said, his voice like grinding stone, "you have turned the natural order upside down. We cannot allow this corruption of galactic stability to continue." "You're the one who started this transformation," Hyun-woo replied calmly. "When you shattered my skull in that arena, you thought you were proving human weakness. Instead, you awakened something that had been sleeping in our DNA for millions of years. We will restore the proper order. The Nexus Empire has assembled the largest war fleet in galactic history. Your enhanced humans will face the combined might of 47 allied species." 47 species allied against one, Hyun-woo mused. "That seems like poor odds. For you?" "No," Hyun-woo said, and his voice carried the confidence of an entire enhanced species. "For you." The transmission ended and Hyun-woo turned to address his bridge crew. Through their quantum link, he was also addressing every enhanced human in the galaxy. 1 year ago, they tried to show the universe that humans were weak prey animals. Today, they're assembling the largest military force in history because they're terrified of what we've become. He paused, feeling the shared determination of his entire species. "Let's show them why their fear is justified." As the human fleets began moving toward the galactic rim, ambassadors from dozens of species watched from their home worlds. The assault on Commander Park had been intended to humiliate humanity and keep them in their place. Instead, it had created something unprecedented in galactic history, a species that had evolved beyond the traditional limitations of biology and consciousness. The galaxy would never be the same. And for the first time in cosmic history, humanity would make sure it stayed that